Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today we are going to talk about Royal Caribbean's COVID health protocols for sailings to Alaska. They just released them, and right now it's in the evening on Monday, March 28th, and they just released the protocols today, and so I am just doing this video right now so that I can put it up for you in the morning. So first of all, I would like to welcome all of our Let's Go family members. You all are absolutely wonderful. I'd like to also welcome everyone who is new. It is so nice to have you with us, and if there's anyone here who hasn't subscribed yet, we would love it if you would subscribe to our channel. It'll make you a member of our Let's Go family, and it'll help you stay up to date on everything that you need to know about cruising if you're considering going on a cruise or you have a cruise booked. So first of all, Royal Caribbean is the first cruise line to announce what their COVID health protocols are going to be for their sailings to Alaska this year for the 2022 season. And I think that it is really important to note what they are, because I think that they are going to be extraordinarily similar for all of the other cruise lines, because surely they reflect what the requirements are of Canada to have cruise passengers call in their country, as well as for people to fly in and depart on cruises from Vancouver, as well as visit their ports. And so first of all, we are going to start out with what the protocols are if you are sailing from a port in the United States. And so mainly I think of sailings from San Francisco and from Seattle. There are some cruises that come from Los Angeles, but often they end before they head up to Alaska. But no matter which port you're sailing from in the United States, and you're going up to Alaska and you're going to be making a call in Canada, this is what is required. So first of all, we are really used to having the vaccination requirement. And Royal Caribbean is requiring that all passengers aged 12 and older are fully vaccinated, and that the vaccine is administered at least 14 days before the sailing. I think that we're all familiar, and if not, you need to know that you need to have the 2 doses of a vaccine unless you received the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson. And they will talk a little bit more about that in more specificity here in just a couple of minutes. Children who are ages 11 and under are not required to be vaccinated, but if children are older than between ages 5 and 11 who are also eligible, if they want to be able to follow the protocols of vaccinated passengers, they also need to show the proof of vaccination at the time of embarkation. And then for each guest, like I said, they need to have the 2 doses of the vaccine or one of the Johnson & Johnson, and it says that no exceptions will be made even if the guest's resident country has authorized a single shot regimen for the 2-dose vaccine. So this is really important for any of our Let's Go family members to know who are coming from another country and sailing to go on a ship out of the United States up to Alaska and calling in Canada as well. Even if your country says that you can get by with just 1 dose, if it is prescribed by the CDC here in the United States that you need 2 doses, you need 2 doses. And so remember that. That is very specific, and I think it's very important. The other thing it says is that the Royal Caribbean will not accept a certificate of recovery in lieu of a vaccination record card for a guest who is vaccine eligible. And so I know that that is another thing that some countries will do. You'll get that certificate of recovery, and here to be able to go on these cruises, you're going to either need an exemption or you're going to need a vaccination. And so really remember that as you're preparing to come. They do point out that all crew who are on board are fully vaccinated, and they do receive their boosters as they are eligible. And so I like that they add that in here as well. And so the next thing that they talk about is testing. And we are all used to testing by now to cruise and for a whole lot of other things in our lives. So first of all, it says before arriving on boarding day, all the passengers need to take a COVID test on our own, and of course that's at our own expense. Vaccinated passengers need to show proof of a negative COVID test, and it can be a PCR or an antigen within 2 days of embarkation. Kids who are ages 5 to 11 who have been vaccinated may present proof of full vaccination and follow the testing protocols for vaccinated guests. Now, children who are unvaccinated between those ages of 2 and 11 need to do a PCR test within 3 days of embarkation. And so I can see why they say if children are vaccinated, they're going to want to show proof of that vaccine, because it is so much easier to be able to get that antigen test and have it done in time rather than booking that PCR test and hoping that you get the results back. And so, like I said, unvaccinated children cannot board. They cannot be tested on the same day that they embark on the ship. And so even though the PCR test needs to be done within 3 days, it cannot be done on the day that you board the ship. And it's because they feel like those test results might conflict with anything that shows up later that day, because they have to be tested again at embarkation. And then guests who are under 2 years of age do not need to have a test. And if you're traveling to the U.S. from another country, be aware that you are also going to need to take a COVID test to enter the United States. That is still a requirement. If you are coming from another country into the United States, you have to show a test, and I believe it could be a PCR or an antigen test within 24 hours. And so remember that. Now, as far as unvaccinated, they call it unvaccinated kids additional testing. Truly, as you look through these protocols, it does not talk about exemptions a lot. If you dig down on the website, it says that for medical and religious reasons, you can receive an exemption, but the way they're talking about this, I don't know how many they're giving. And so I would love to hear from any of you who are on a Royal Caribbean cruise up to Alaska this summer and see if there are really very many exemptions out there. So the next thing is if you're not vaccinated at the terminal, you're going to have to be tested. And so it says, for all cruises, unvaccinated children ages 2 to 11 will take a complimentary test when checking in at the terminal, and they will send you the registration email to that before your cruise so that you know exactly what to do. And then this is really important. It says, for sailings departing from Seattle, Washington, unvaccinated children ages 5 to 11, and like I said, if there are exemptions for adults, this will apply to you as well, will need to take a complimentary test on board no more than 1 day before arrival to Canada. Guests will be notified on board about how to register for this test. Also, they are going to have testing before disembarking. For sailings debarking in Vancouver, British Columbia, unvaccinated guests ages 5 to 11 will take a complimentary antigen test on board no more than 1 day before arriving in Canada. And again, they will give you information on how to register for that test. And then finally, for sailings debarking in Seattle, Washington, unvaccinated guests ages 2 to 11 will need to take a complimentary antigen test on board not more than 1 day before arriving in the United States. And you will also receive information on board about how to sign up for that test. And so clearly they are keeping the requirement of you, if you're not vaccinated, you've got to be tested both to go to Canada and to the United States. And so be aware that that testing will be happening. Now, and then they do point out that guests who are under the age of 2 will not be tested. Now, let me finish the requirements for cruising, and then I'm going to tell you what the requirements are if you're going to be on a cruise tour, okay? So I think it's wonderful that they have included in these protocols what the travel documents are that you're going to need to have with you as you go on this cruise. So first of all, you're going to need a passport book or a passport card that is valid for at least 6 months after your cruise, and that is required of United States citizens. And the same is if you're coming from another country, your passport needs to be valid for 6 months after your cruise. You also are going to need to have your COVID-19 vaccination record card with the final dose of your vaccine administered at least 14 days before sailing. This is required of all guests aged 12 and older. Kids age 5 to 11 who have been fully vaccinated once again may present their proof of vaccination and follow the protocols for vaccinated guests. Now the COVID-19, you're going to also have to show that COVID-19 negative test result, and you're going to also have to do the health questionnaire that they want you to do through the Royal Caribbean app on your phone within 1 day of embarkation. And then all travelers to Canada or their legal guardians must download the ArriveCan app or complete the mandatory travel information via ArriveCan on the website prior to your entry into Canada. This applies to whether you are departing on your cruise from Canada, or if you're ending your cruise in Canada, or if you are visiting Canada on a port of call. So pretty much however you're getting to Canada, and no matter how long you're staying, you need to have that ArriveCan app either do the information on your phone, or else you're going to have to do it on the website, just on your computer. It says, we are working with the Canadian government to make the process easier for guests arriving by cruise ship and will ensure guests have guidance to complete this process smoothly on board. Learn more about your, they advise people to learn about the Canada travel requirements. And so if you're going to be flying into Canada to depart from Vancouver, you're going to need to do that. And if you are coming back to, no matter how you're visiting Canada, you've got to do that ArriveCan app. Now, we also have, I like that they also have this section and they call it the Cruise Ready Recap. So you've got to be vaccinated. You've got to make sure that you book your shore excursions. I like that they point that out. Now, they say that no matter what your vaccination status is, you can get off the ship and walk around in all of the ports. There are no ports that are restricted at this time. They are not restricted whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, and they are not restricting on if you're on a ship excursion or if you book your tour privately. So you can do whatever you'd like, but they do recommend that you think of that 30 to 60 days out. And then at least 30 days out, they want you to download that Royal Caribbean app on your phone or whatever device so that you can sign in and do everything that you need to do on that. And 2 or 3 days before your test, based on what kind, if you're getting the antigen, if you're vaccinated, 2 days before, they're reminding to make sure you mark on your calendar to get that COVID test, and the day before you have to complete that COVID health questionnaire. And so I just want to, the last thing I want to tell you about that is they do warn people to please only arrive during your time slot. If you come early, you're not going to get to board early, and if you come late, they're going to have to work you into another embarkation group. Now, they are also telling us what's going to happen just a little bit on board. There's not a whole lot of information, but the big question everybody has is always about masking. It says, masks are optional for fully vaccinated guests. We expect unvaccinated children to continue wearing masks indoors and in crowded settings. Masks are required for all children ages 2 and older while in the Adventure Ocean Youth programs. Guests under 2 don't have to wear a mask. As far as dining goes, it says in the main dining room, vaccinated guests may dine with other vaccinated guests outside their travel party. Parties that include unvaccinated children will be assigned a table of their own. They also say that tables and chairs in the dining areas will be continually sanitized. And as we have witnessed on the cruises that we have done since the restart, they do indeed keep everything sparkling clean and sanitized. They want parents to know that if you want any of your children to attend the Adventure Youth programs, Adventure Ocean Youth programs, I should say, they do say that you have to make a reservation. And you can make the reservation once you are on board. You maybe can in the app. I'm not as familiar with that. And so if anyone could add that experience, I'd love to hear from you. But it just says to make sure that you make your reservation, and it says just stop by Adventure Ocean on boarding day to reserve a time, or throughout your cruise you can also swing by and make an appointment. And then I mentioned the going ashore, that you can do that and it's unrestricted. Now they also have released a separate thing showing what the COVID health protocol rules are if you are sailing from Vancouver rather than from a U.S. port, and it is all identical except for one thing. They do add the information that if you are going to be sailing from Vancouver instead of from the United States, that they have here, let me just read it to you. It says that all unvaccinated guests ages 2 to 11 must provide a negative PCR test no more than 72 hours before your flight's departure to Canada. Or you can do an antigen test within 24 hours of when your flight departs to Canada. So if you've got children with you who are ages 2 to 11 and are unvaccinated, or if you're someone that has an exemption otherwise, then you're going to, like it says, you're going to need to go ahead and do that extra test. Now, they have also included information on what you have to do if you are booked on a cruise tour. And I know that so many of us have been waiting to hear what these protocols are. So first of all, it says Royal Caribbean Cruise Tour guests need to take a COVID-19 test on your own and at your own expense before the land tour portion of your cruise tour. And I am sure that it is the same if you happen to be someone that has your cruise tour booked and then you're going to embark on the ship. And so be careful and listen. It says vaccinated guests must show a negative PCR or antigen test taken no more than 2 days before the day your land tour starts. Kids ages 5 to 11 who have been vaccinated may present that proof of vaccination to follow the vaccinated passenger protocols. Unvaccinated children ages 2 to 11 must show a negative PCR test taken no more than 3 days before the beginning of your cruise tour. Guests under 2 years of age don't have to be tested. Cruise tour guests will also need to complete a pre-cruise testing to board the ship in addition to the pre-tour testing. Vaccinated guests are advised to bring an eMed test kit with them on their cruise tour to meet the pre-cruise testing requirement. For vaccinated guests without a test kit or unvaccinated children ages 2 to 11 in need of a PCR test, a testing provider in Anchorage will be available for the guests, but at their expense, at the guest's expense. And it says details on how to register for testing in Anchorage will be provided by your cruise tour guide. And so they are requiring, even if you have been tested to go on a cruise tour, you're going to have to show proof of a negative COVID test to get on the ship. So I looked up eMed again, and they are indeed still, you can still order 2 tests for $69.99, and that was what the price was today. I looked today, March 28th, and so you can order those. They also have them through Optum. Those are the exact same tests. I know Radius has the exact same tests. We have told our Canadian Let's Go family members, I don't remember that off the top of my head right now, but we have told them labs there, maybe AccuLab is one of the ones where you can order a test kit. And so it is really important. You can either take that with you and do that, probably at the lodge before you leave, and then you've got that test done. Or I love that in Anchorage they are going to have a test provider, so if anything funny happens, you will be able to be tested so that you don't miss your cruise. And so this is a lot of information, I know, but I think it is really important that we all know what's going on and can kind of be up to date and know what to expect. Royal Caribbean, like they always do, and the other cruise lines did point out that this is a very, very fluid situation and things can change at any time. And so they will let everyone know, and I will keep my eye out on this now so that I can keep you up to date with it. But they'll let us know if they have to add any other protocols or if there's anything that they can take away. If you have got any questions about this, just put it in the comments below, and I will do my best to talk, to find out and answer, to talk about in the comments. I would just love to know if any of you have a Royal Caribbean cruise scheduled. I also love to hear about anything you've got with Princess. I would expect that we will hopefully hear the protocols from Princess and Holland America really soon. They do so many cruises to Alaska, and if Royal Caribbean has got theirs sorted out, I would think that the others will follow just very quickly and be very similar. But I will let you know when those are available as well. If you appreciate these updates, would you please give this video a thumbs up, because that really helps us out. Thank you. I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.